Okay, so pre-calc, this is your 2-1 through 2-4 quiz review. I do have 7 problems that may be a little bit longer than the last one, but we'll try to get through them as quickly as we can so that you understand what to do. Okay, so this first one here, let me write the equation down. It says f of x equals 2x squared minus 16x plus 31. And your job is to graph this, of course. And to do this, first you have to find the vertex. The vertex we're going to do by the negative b over 2a method. So to find the vertex, we first take a look at this x-coordinate. Negative b, opposite of negative 16 is positive 16 over 2a. 2 times 2 is 4. Your x value is 4. To find the y, plug in 4. 2 times 4 squared minus 16 times 4 plus 31. And we trust our handy dandy calculator to do the work for us. And we get an answer of -1. So here's your vertex. Your vertex is at 4, -1. Now I would like the x and y intercepts. Okay, so to find the x-intercepts, you could see if this factors, but I don't think it does. So we're going to use the quadratic formula. X equals opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And I like to do the discriminant separately. So the discriminant is negative 16 squared minus 4 times a times c. And when I plug this in my calculator, I get 8. So in the quadratic formula, the opposite of b is positive 16 plus or minus the square root of 8 all over 2a. 2 times 2 is 4. And now I split this. One with the positive sign, one with the negative sign. So in my calculator, 16 plus the square root of 8 divided by 4, I get 4.71. And in the other one, I do the minus 16 minus the square root of 8 divided by 4, and I get 3.29. And then the last thing I want is the y-intercept, and to find the y-intercept, let x be 0. So we plug 0 in for x, and we get a y-intercept of 31. Oof. So your y-intercept is 0, 31. So again, to graph this, I think I gave you just a blank one like this on the quiz. So just estimate where the points go. So we're going to go 4, -1 somewhere over here. That would mean 4.71 is right here, 3.29 is right here, and let's put 0.31 way up there. Ooh, look at that. That's pretty skilled. There. And there's your parabola. Okay? Opens up, and that's good enough for me. Okay, and remember also, if you have a problem, this would be the minimum, okay, this vertex, because it's the bottom point. So remember, minimum, maximum means find the vertex. Okay. 2, we're going to take a look at this function here, and I'll write it down. F of x equals x to the 4th minus x cubed minus 20x squared. We need to do the end behavior, find the zeros, and graph it. Okay, so end behavior, EB for end behavior. The leading coefficient is a positive 1. That means as x goes to the right, the function goes up. The degree is 4. Even means same. As x goes to the left, the function goes up. So we're going to finish up on both sides. Okay. Now we need to find the zeros. We'll define the zeros. Set this equal to 0. Everything has an x squared, so pull out that x squared. That leaves you with an x squared minus x minus 20. And you can use the quadratic formula, or we need to be able to factor this. And this does factor nicely. your signs are different, so one's plus and one's minus. 5 and 4 make 20 and have a difference of -1. The 5 would have to be negative, the 4 is positive. And there we go. And now we set each of those equal to 0. X squared is 0, so this is 2 zeros. X equals 0. That occurs twice, so remember it's going to bounce off. X plus 4 equals 0, so X equals -4. And minus 5 equals 0, so X equals 5. So on the graph itself, all I need are the zeros marked. So 0, -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and positive 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's going to come from the top and go down through. It's going to come up to 0 and bounce off and then go through 5 and up. So it's going to go from the top, go down through, come up. It's going to bounce off, turn back down. Turn back down and go up through 5. And there we go. Now bonus, I will also ask you to find the relative max and mins. These 2 points are relative mins. Relative min, relative min. This 0, 0 point is actually a relative max. So if you want to be technical. Okay, and let's take a look at how to find the relative min, or let's find the relative min on our calculator. So I had to change the window to -150. And when I did that, I got the relative min on the left side to be -2.8, and then -73.4. And then the relative min on the right side to be about 3.55 or 3.6. And then the y is -137. Actually rounds up to -138.0. Okay. I don't think you have to change your window on the test itself, but again, if you're trying to find those points, just, change that window. Alright, very good. Next, 3. Intermediate value theorem. Okay, here's your equation. F of x equals x cubed minus 3x squared plus 3. And I want to use the intermediate value theorem to talk about why there is a 0 in this interval. Okay? Well, what you need to do is you need to take these two integers, 2 and 3, and plug them in to the function. So let's do that. F of 2 equals 2 to the third minus 3 times 2 squared plus 3. And when I do this in my calculator, 2 to the third minus 3 times 2 squared plus 3, I get a value of -1. So f of 2 is -1. And now let's do 3. So I'll plug 3 into this function. A lot of 3's. And when I plug 3 in, I get 3 out. So f of 3 comes out to be 3. So again, I'm asking you, use the intermediate value theorem to explain why there's a 0. Well, graphically, if you have 2, -1, and 3, 3, and this graph is continuous, then it has to go through the x-axis. So that's the idea here. So somehow verbalize it like, since the y values go from -1 to 3, and again, just emphasize negative to positive, the function must cross the x-axis in the interval 2 to 3. Thus, there is a 0 there. So something like that. I mean, you can use your own words, but I'm trying to get the idea of that you understand that when it changes, the y changes from negative to positive, it had to go through the x-axis. So that's all. Okay. Next one. Long division time. Here's the original question. X to the fourth plus 3x squared plus 1 divided by x squared minus 2x plus 3. So we're going to divide these two things. And you need to make sure all your powers of x are there and that they're in descending power. This is not. This one needs to be rewritten. X to the fourth plus 0x cubed plus 3x squared plus 0x plus 1. And now we need to go to town. The x squared minus 2x plus 3 is on the outside. The x to the fourth plus 0x cubed plus 3x squared plus 0x plus 1 is on the inside. And we're going to long divide. How do I make x squared become x to the fourth? Multiply by x squared. 1, 2, 3 terms. 1, 2 over top of the third term. X to the fourth minus 2x cubed plus 3x squared. So that's distributing the x squared to the outside polynomial. Change all of your signs to subtract and then combine. X to the fourths cancel. 0x cubed plus 2x cubed is 2x cubed. The 3x squareds cancel, so that's 0x squared. And I bring down the 0x. To make x squared become 2x squared, 2x cubed, add or times it by a 2x, positive. Distribute. 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus 6x. Change all your signs. Minus, plus, minus. So we get the 2x cubes cancel. We get 4x squared minus 6x. Bring down the plus 1. Last thing brought down, last step here. To make x squared become 4x squared, times it by 4. 4x squared minus 8x plus 12. Change your signs. Combine. 4x squareds cancel. Positive 2x, negative 11. There's your remainder. So the answer to this question is x squared plus 2x plus 4 plus the remainder 2x minus 11 all over what you divided by x squared minus 2x plus 3. Long division. Make sure you fill in those zeros. Okay. Next one. So I'm giving you one factor, or in this case I gave you two, but I'm going to cross off one. I'm going to cross this one off. So here's the function, there's one factor. Use synthetic division, show that it's a factor, and then find all the other factors. That's the idea here. Okay? So if x plus 2 is the factor, set it equal to 0 to find the k value. This is also the 0. This is the value we're going to use in our synthetic division. X equals negative 2. So negative 2 goes outside. In the synthetic division goes the coefficients. 2, 1, negative 5, 2. Bring down that first 2. Multiply, add. Multiply, add. Multiply, add. There we go. So it is a factor. So we're left with this polynomial, 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. And maybe you factor this, maybe use quadratic formula. Whatever you do, I'm going to use the quadratic formula because I think that's how a lot of people are doing it. So for the quadratic formula, opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. The discriminant, negative 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times 1. This is 9 minus 8, which is 1. Perfect square. So you're going to get nice numbers. Opposite of b is 3 plus or minus the square root of 1 all over 2a. 2 times a is 4. This is just a positive 1, right? The square root simplifies. And our 2x values are 3 plus 1 divided by 4. And the minus is 3 minus 1 divided by 4. This is 4 divided by 4, which is 1. This is 2 divided by 4, which is a half. So your zeros are x equals negative 2, 1, and 1/2. The factors, or the factorization of this polynomial f of x, is the original one, x plus 2. This 1 becomes x minus 1, and the 1/2 becomes 2x minus 1. The 2 goes with the x, and then you subtract the 1, 2x minus 1. And there's the factored form. So make sure you can do both for the quiz. 2 more. 6. Let's do a division problem with a complex number. 6 minus 7i over 1 minus 2i. We need to get I out of the bottom by multiplying by its conjugate. When you do it on the bottom, got to do it to the top. In the top, we're going to FOIL. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2i is plus 12i. Negative 7i times 1 is negative 7i. Negative 7i times 2i is negative 14i squared. The bottom, you get a squared plus b squared. 1 squared plus 2 squared. If you need to multiply it out, do it. Up here, the I squared becomes a negative 1 and makes minus 14 become positive 14. So that's 20. 6 and 14 is 20. 12i minus 7i is 5i. 1 plus 4 is 5. Ooh. So look at this when we split it apart. 20 plus 5, or 20 over 5 plus 5 over 5i. And notice when we simplify, these will cancel a little bit. 20 divided by 5 is 4. And 5 divided by 5 is 1i. Nice. And that's in standard form. Make sure you look to simplify, right? After you break it apart. Good. Alright, last one. Number 7. Use the quadratic formula to solve the quadratic equation. So I assume we're going to get some imaginary solutions. Quadratic formula. So here's the original. 4x squared plus 16x plus 15 equals 0. It's set equal to 0, so we can use the quadratic formula. Opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Your discriminant, 16 squared minus 4 times 15. 16 squared minus 16 times 15. And we have to throw this question out because you're not going to get imaginary solutions. So I'm going to fix this right now. Sorry for the error. Yeah, so sorry about that. We're going to do this equation over here. So cross this off. We're going to change that 15 to a 17. 4x squared plus 16x plus 17 equals 0. So I apologize for that. So the quadratic formula is still here. I see it here. So we're going to do the discriminant, which is 16 squared minus 4 times 17. And this discriminant comes out to be negative 16. So again, the reason I stopped that last problem is because I got positive 16 as my discriminant, which means you have no negative under the square root. So I need to get a negative under the square root for this to be a problem I want to do. Negative 16. So your quadratic formula, opposite of 16 is negative 16, plus or minus the square root of negative 16, all over 2 times a. 2 times 4 is 8. So this is I square root of 16, and 16 is a perfect square. 16 is 4. So this is just simply negative 16 plus or minus 4i over 8. And now we break it apart. X equals negative 16 over 8 plus or minus 4 over 8i. And we can simplify. Negative 16 divided by 8 is negative 2, plus or minus 4 and 8 have a common factor of 4. Divide by 4, 1/2 I. And there's your imaginary solutions. Negative 2 plus or minus 1/2 I. Again, sorry about the mess up. Alright, hopefully, so these 7 problems, should be really good for you in preparation for your quiz. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll see you on Friday.